Hey everybody, this is our 1967 Harley Davidson Sprint 250 motorcycle project. Currently we're working on rewiring it because all of the original wires were totally roached. They are, like I said, original 1967. They've seen better days, they've gotten pretty crispy, and we were a little concerned with running it like that, so we just want to get everything back to perfect condition. So we've got color matching wires that we are totally redoing everything with. It's almost completely done. We've ran into a few problems, which I can get into in a minute. Our cousins out in California shipped us this bike. It has been sitting still since June 2001. But luckily, it's a desert, so there's not much rust on it. There's a couple little paint issues here on the fender, but other than that, there's really no damage whatsoever. That even the underside of the fender looks perfectly fine. The gas tank's over there, nothing really wrong with it. There's some, like I said, some interesting things we've encountered with it. It's not seized or anything. The shifter will still work. There's compression in the engine, and it's a different project than what I expected it to be. We kind of expected it to be totally seized and non-repairable, but I think it's just going to be a lot of little things that we're going to have to work out to get it going. We've got our custom color-coded wiring diagram set up right there to aid us in this, and yeah, let's get into it. So the reason this bike sat for so long was because of the ignition coil here. They thought the ignition coil was shot, which is a transformer that steps up current. As far as I know, it increases your the power output from the battery for the rest of the bikes. That way your headlights run on full brightness and everything. You get what you need from that. And we replaced it. We got a new one, and it didn't make a difference. And at that point, we were looking at the wires, and we thought, you know what? Let's just redo this whole thing. So we bought the Amazon special and got every type of battery or every type of wire color that we needed, and a correct gauge that could handle the current, although it's just a 6-volt battery, so it's not really that much to be worried about. But we've rewired this rat's nest and blown a couple fuses in the meantime, and encountered some really interesting problems, like after turning it on, the horn, which is typically mounted right there, we got everything back together, turned it on, and the horn just started blowing nonstop. And that was kind of aggravating after doing all this work. So we went back through and checked everything out, and it all seemed to be working. So our next thought was, well, there must be something wrong with the horn. So we took it off and busted it open, and yeah, it's totally crusty in here. There's rust pieces everywhere, and I think that was what was causing our problems, because after we've taken off the horn, I'll show you what happened. So I have short-circuited the horn. I've just totally avoided it. It's off, and I've connected the wires, or the plugs for the wires. Let me grab a fuse, because I keep blowing these fuses. They're kind of, I don't have many laying around, and they're somewhat difficult to find. So I'm just jumping the fuse on the circuit board right here. Let me turn it on to auxiliary power. We've got our headlamp, and when we jump the fuse, we don't have light. That's depressing. Huh. Well, let's try something else. Okay, so I figured out the problem. This is where I've jumped or shorted the horn out right here. I did not have the headlamp assembly grounded, and that's the only issue. So if I point this where the camera can see it, and I jump the fuse, you can see the headlight lights up. And the switch up here, this is the horn and the high beam and low beam. It also works. I haven't really noticed much of a difference between the high and the low beam, but I guess it's noticeable when you're driving at night. So that works. The interior lamp right here, I just put these fuses together, so that way there was something like connecting this gap, so that way everything ran right. I did not expect them to actually turn on, and they turned on. So we have one light. Whenever I switch this over to alternator power, which it's not running right now, so it doesn't work, but the other lights light up, which is interesting. Brake light's good. If this switch right here, I put these on because, or these plugs right here, so that way we could take this off whenever we needed to adjust the brakes, because the brakes definitely need some adjusting. This rod is not very straight, but it lights up well, and everything else seems to be running correctly. So that's the overview of how our bike project is going so far. We obviously still have a long way to go, but we're making good progress on it. Again, crazy little hiccups get in our way, like the horn being full of rust, not turning on. We're also going to do or fix it up cosmetically as well. We want it to look as nice as possible. As you can see, some of the chrome is totally flaking off, which we have a replacement piece here, which actually is not chrome. This is just the stock aluminum, or I think this might be cast aluminum. It's pretty light. I just took it to the shop and buffed it out. I just polished it. Same thing with this piece. This looked exactly like this morning, but I took it and polished it out, so it looks a lot nicer. I still need to use some chrome polish on it and get it clean because my hands are grubby from all this stuff. But yeah, we're making good progress on it. I'll keep posting more videos, more progress updates, and hopefully we get it running soon. Thanks. You might have noticed a strange noise going on in the background, and that's our chickens and ducks, our little friends, to keep us company during this quarantine while we're rebuilding this bike. Oh, they flipped their food bowl over. No. You goobers. Come here. Oh. Say bye. Or not. They did it again.